Hello everyone, and welcome to another video on my channel. In this one, I'm going to show you a manufacturer's guide to this official season, and we are going to be talking about round 2, which is at the Dragon Trail Gardens, and we are going to be using the Gr3 cars, at least in the GT1 category that I am in. So what I'm going to show you in this video is I'm going to firstly quickly talk about the race setup for this race, then I'm going to show you the fastest TT lap that I did, and then I'm going to do a detailed lap guide on that lap. After I'm going to show you one of the rain laps I did in time trial, and then I'm going to also show a detailed lap of that as well. And then I'm going to finally finish the video by doing a small stint with fuel and tyre wear on, just to see what the tyre wear on that is like, and to basically try summarise everything up into one video in that small stint. So without further ado, let's talk about the race settings. So as you can see, for round 2 in GT1 League, at Gardens we've got 20 laps, 16 car grid as always, and it's a rolling start. And the qualifying time is 6 minutes. As you can see on the leaderboard, the rough lap time you'll be seeing in top split will be around the 1 minute 30 marker. So if you think about it, especially with tyre wear, so you've got 1 minute 30 for an out lap, at least 1 minute 30 I should say, but you've got another 1 minute 30 to finish the lap, so that'll be 3 minutes, but because the tyre wear is so high, you're very likely going to exit and go back out the pit, so after your second out lap, you'll probably be about 5 minutes into a session, so then you'll have the final lap to finish the lap, so you've got 2 qualifying laps to set your lap time in the actual thing. There, like I said, there's 5 times tyre wear in both qualifying and the race, and in the race there's also times 1 fuel, so we won't have to worry about fuel saving or anything in this race. Useful tyres, as you can see, we've got the razor mediums, soft, intermediates and wets. Now what is interesting here, and as you will be able to see, that there is no mandatory pit stops, and the reason for that is because there is wet weather involved, of course. You'll have noticed that it starts raining as soon as you load into a time trial session, but more on that later. Like I said, we're in Gr3 cars, mid-speed BOP since we're at Gardens, which is a medium-speed BOP track, and we are only allowed to change the brake balance in our cars, so it's default setups. DR and SRs of course affected, there's light damage as well, and the shortcut penalty is on weak. No wall penalties, I mean you shouldn't be able to touch any walls anyway unless you have a massive crash. Other cars collision penalties on, so don't try and ram into someone because you'll get a penalty for that. And then also, obviously there's also a pit lane line cutting penalty on. So if you cross the white line on the pit entry here or the pit exit here, then you'll get a 3-second time penalty, which will cost you quite a bit of time and probably quite a few positions. But anyway, that is the race settings now. So now I'm going to go into my fastest time trial lap, followed by the detailed lap after that. I would appreciate a like and a subscribe if you find these sort of videos helpful and enjoyable to watch. Cheers guys. Now on to my fastest qualifying lap. Hello again guys, so hopefully you enjoyed the lap of training, and now I'm going to quickly show you how I did that lap. So you've got to remember guys, I am in the Super BRZ, which is probably the most different Group 3 car out there compared to every other car, maybe other than Nissan Silhouette, but this car has the most downforce, doesn't have the best brakes, and it's pretty damn straight, so the braking references may differ for you guys, especially in the faster speed corners, where Subaru will probably be able to brake later since it can carry quite a lot more speed into those corners. But without further ado, let's get into the lap. And of course, I'll be talking about the rough apex speeds and that in the BRZ, but I'll also try my best to explain what sort of speeds you should be looking out for other cars. Obviously, I won't know exactly because I'm not driving those cars, I'm only driving the BRZ, but I should have a rough idea. But anyway, first corner. Use all this entry curve here, and for me, I start to turn it in as this wrong button, as this tree here leaves my screen in bumper cam, and I'm going to be braking. I'm actually going to go here. I brake basically just before in bumper cam I get to this orange part of this barrier here. Now, since I'm not braking much, you're going to see I'm going to be trail braking about 40% I think maximum, which is enough to slow down the car and still have plenty of rotation to get around the corner basically. First corner I was aiming to be about 122 to 123 miles per hour in the BRZ. Most of the cars it will probably be around 117 area. And of course, try get your left tyre to get as close to the inside curb as possible because that helps drag your car around the corner, and obviously you're minimising distance as well. You saw the exit curve here. This corner I did brake a bit early on this particular lap, I do remember, but in the BRZ I'm braking, I would say, a car length after the entry of this part of the curb here. On this lap I brake about now. I definitely brake a bit early because I did not carry enough speed in this first part of the corner, but I'm going to be braking in a straight line, and I'm roughly aiming out. You want your left tyre to touch the inside curb without like going over the curb, because if you go over the curb, at least on controller, the car will stop steering for a bit and you'll just be wide on this first bit, which will compromise the rest of the first chicanes, I should call it. This first apex I'm roughly aiming for about 75-76 miles an hour. On this particular lap I believe I did 72 because I broke a bit early. So you want your left tyre to get as close to the inside of that curb as possible without touching it, of course. Go on a little bit, and then I'll say about halfway on this little straight. So it's basically as soon as you stop turning left, basically where this gravel is, you're going to be braking a bit and turning to the right. And in the BRZ I was aiming to be about 70 miles an hour. I'll say about a car length for this gravel actually, sorry. Braking a straight line of course, and you want your right tyres to go on the inside of this red part of this sausage curb here, and you want your left tyres to be on the other side of this red sausage curb here. So you want your car to be like that basically. Let me just quickly go to a race photo so you guys can see what I mean. There you go. You want your car, you want your right tyres to be basically as much on this curb as possible without touching the grass, and you want your left tyres to get as close to this red part of this curb as possible, obviously without touching it. Again, about 70 miles an hour in this car. I'm not sure if fourth or third is better. I do think third is safer, so I'm probably going to take it in third, and then I'll talk more about when I would change to fourth if I was to exit in third here. But since I've taken it about 70 miles an hour here, I'm going to be halfway between the left and right hand side, which means it gives me enough of an angle to easily attack this next part of this curb flat out in the BRZ. If I was to exit in third on previous corner, I would upshift to fourth as soon as I start to get over this bump, just to try and stabilise my car and have a bit better weight transfer going over this curb. I did find it consistent in the race ones, doing third to fourth through there. My first sector, not great, because like I said, I broke early for turn 2, but moving on. This corner, I've just started to brake now, but I'm braking about a car length and a half, I'd say, before the 100 marker. Probably the same in most other cars, I would imagine. Since you're going to be going slightly faster on straight, but you'll also have slightly better brakes, I would imagine, than BRZ. But I'm going to be braking a straight line, and I'll say halfway through your braking you're going to start turning to the left, and you want your left tyres to use the inside curb, but you want your right tyres to just be off the inside curb, just to help drag you around the corner and carry as much speed and momentum off the corner as possible. In the video I said I was aiming to be 49 to 50 mile an hour on this corner. Be careful of oversteer here, of course, so try not to put too much steering in as you put the throttle down. This corner is easy to flatten, as I said. Just basically try touching the inside curb without touching the grass. This corner, I'll pause it right now. So there's this little tree here, and then there's this gravel bit. But I'd say most cars, I would imagine, I would probably brake in between this tree and where the gravel starts. But in the BR said I'm braking basically where the gravel starts here. So right here, I'm going to be braking any second now. Oh, I really did brake late. There you go. Like I said, I'm braking just as this grass starts to disappear off it inside, basically. And I'm aiming to be about 98 mile an hour on this apex, I believe, from memory. And you want your right tyres to be all over the curb without touching the grass. Like that. That is pretty much perfect. Carry on turning to right, and on this tree, in some cars you might want to start braking. In the BR said I'm braking where this barrier is. But as soon as I get to this part of the barrier, I'm going to also start to turn to the left. In the BR said I'm aiming to be about 96 mile an hour from memory on this second corner, on this last corner of S2, sorry, I should be saying. So right here, I'm about to brake in the BR said, any second. There you go. So, yeah, basically on the entry of this barrier, orange barrier, that's where I'm braking. Again, since I'm not needing to brake much, it's going to be a very small trail brake, and again, get your left tyre to get on the inside curb, just to help drag around the corner and minimise distance and carry good momentum out of the corner. I will say right now in the BR said, and I'll recommend for most of you, I wouldn't do the racing line I'm doing because it's pretty difficult to not spin by doing the line I'm about to show you. But basically what I'm going to try and explain now is you'll want to exit the corner with your right tyres, with your whole car basically being on this curb, with like your right tyres going onto a slanted bar or the hilly part of this curb. Basically, you don't want your right tyres to go over this curb. Basically, you want your right tyres to be on this slanted bit of a curb, if possible. But what I'm going to show you is I'm going to be going over that because I want to try and carry as much momentum out of the corner as possible. So what you're going to see me do is you're going to see my right tyres actually get as close to this gravel as possible, and in fact touch on the exit here. Just try and carry as much momentum out of the corner as possible. However, for I'd say 99% of you guys watching this, I would not recommend doing this because it's extremely difficult not to spin doing this. Here, in the BR said, I'm braking at the end of this yellow sign here. Sorry, you can't really see. But yeah, I'm braking at the end of this yellow sign here, and I'm going to be slowing down to this first apex at about 85 mile an hour, and I'm going to gradually carry on slowing down or just lifting down to about 80 mile an hour by the time I get to the second apex. Then I'm going to play around with the throttle a bit until I get about halfway between the second and third apex. That's when you'll see me start to put full throttle in for the rest of the remaining corners for the quadruple right-hander. Sorry, I've just gone past my braking reference. So we'll quickly get back here. My apologies. So I'm braking right here. As soon as the yellow sign disappears on my bumper cam screen, that's when I'm braking. Use the entry curb just to carry as much, have as much of an angle for the corner as possible, so you can carry as much speed as possible. So here you want to be about 85, and then I'll downshift to second, and I gradually carry on slowing down to about 80 mile an hour as I get to this apex, and then halfway between the second and third apex, you'll see me go 100% throttle. Obviously try clip the inside curbs, but as long as you don't want to stay too wide, it doesn't really matter. This last corner here, I'd break in, I believe, on this 100 board here, maybe even, okay, I'm breaking on this 100 board basically. Again, I'm going to be breaking a straight line, and you're kind of doing it like a V shape, but since it's double apex, it's perfect for this corner, so you're going to want to try and touch the inside apex, or at least get close to the inside curb on this first part of this corner, and then you're going to want to go deep in. Close to the outside, not fully to the outside, but pretty close. I'd say maybe a quarter of the car length or car width of the outside of the track. Because if you're a bit wider than that, you do start to understeer a bit for the second part of the corner. So you don't want to be fully on the outside on this exit of this first part of this corner. You want to be about, like I said, a quarter of a car width off it. And since you won't be too wide then, you'll still have the grip to attack the second part of this last corner here and carry good momentum up the corner. This corner I was aiming to be, I think it was 56, 57 mile an hour. I slowed it down to the outside to about 57 mile an hour from memory on my best attempts, on my best corner here. So like I said, you want to be about a quarter of a car length inside the track basically. And then here in the B, I said I'm going 80% throttle, because if I put any more throttle, the car will drift. This is perfect to pick up the speed and not have too much oversteer. I did get a bit of oversteer on this lap, so I definitely lost a bit of time here. Try and kiss this apex as well if possible, but what's most important is use all this outside curb just to carry as much momentum out of the corner as possible. And that is the dry lap guide on this track. So hopefully that helps get you a good lap time in the actual session. But now I'm going to show you the fastest one of the wet laps I did in the TT session. So I'll see you after the wet lap I'm going to show you now, guys. Cheers. Hello again, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed the wet lap I've shown you. I've not put too much practice into the wet at the moment, but it's a good sort of reference to show you what I'm roughly going to be doing it in the rain, and hopefully I can help you guys with that. Also, what you may have noticed is that I'm using the intermediate tyres, even though it's a wet track. The reason for this is because I think in the actual race, what you'll be seeing is at times it'll be fully wet, at other times it won't be fully wet, and I do think the inters will be the better tyre, especially if the dry effect is a thing, which obviously I can't tell yet because we've not had a race here, but just by judging with how quickly the weather's moving, I do think that the leading cars will dry the track out quite a bit for the cars behind, which is why I do think the intermediate tyres will be better, similar to last exhibition season at Red Bull Ring. That's why I think intermediates will be better. But anyway, I'm going to try my best to roughly talk about the rough apex speeds, but it will be harder because I've not put as much time into this. So first corner, I'm braking basically just after this sign here, maybe like a quarter of a car length after it. Any second. Now there you go. As you can see, I'd say maybe half a car length after this last Dragon Trail side here, in the BL side of course. So what you're going to be wanting to do, and the main tip in the rain, is you want to be a car width of the AI racing line basically. And the AI racing line on this particular track here in turn 1, the racing line stays very close to the inside the whole time basically. So you want to be, I'd say, at least a car width and a half of the inside curb. That will be enough where you're not going to be understeering wide, but you're also minimizing distance and having good grip still. This corner, I believe I was carrying about 107 miles per hour. Oh no, not 107, it was about 104. Minimum apex speed was about 103, 104 miles an hour. Obviously, as you rejoin the racing line, try not to put too much steering in, and you may have to be a bit careful on throttle in some particular cars. Cars like the Lexus RCF, I'd imagine. Here, as you're noticing now, I am turning to the left a bit. That's just because I want to be a car width of the racing line, so I have a full braking performance. And in the red, I am braking just as I get to this 100 sign here. Similar to dry, but touch earlier. And again, braking a straight line, and you're going to be doing the first part of the corner kind of like what you would be in a dry. I think the rough apex speed I was taking for this corner was 60 miles per hour. It might have been slightly more. I'll see with the others actually. Yeah, it's a bit less than 60, about 57 probably. Stay to the left here. Since you're not going anywhere near as quick, you can brake later than you would in dry. Probably where the gravel starts is where I'd start braking. There you go. Or lifting. I do a bit of braking as well. And again, you'll be doing very similar to dry, attack this curb, and you'll be halfway between left and right. Since you're off the AI racing line, which is very deep in this corner, you'll be able to pick up the throttle quite nicely. Obviously, you don't go 100% throttle, but you should have good traction still, since you're off a racing line, that you can pick up the throttle nicely and carry a bit of speed and momentum to attack this last part of the chicanes here. So right here, I was able to go at 90% throttle. I would have a touch of wheel spin, but it was still fast. And here, again, attack this curb like you normally would in a dry. But the main thing is, try and leave like half a car width of this curb here, because that's where, as soon as you got close to this curb, that's where you would lose traction. So you want to be, I'd say, at least half a car length of the outside curb here, if possible. As you see, I've had a touch of a wiggle since I was a touch wide. Decent sector though, I've been considering the lap, but could be better. Here I'm braking, I believe, exactly 125 meters. So I'm braking halfway between 150 and this 100 sign. Any second I'm going to be braking now. There you go. This is 100 board. This is 150. Okay, more like 130, I'd say. Again, be a car width of this outside, and you want to brake in a straight line, and you want to kind of do it like you would normally in a dry, but obviously with less angle, since you don't want to be braking on a racing line. Since there's less grip, of course. So there's two ways to do it. You can either try and cut this part as much as possible. Very sketchy, and I would not recommend doing that. So I'm going to show you the other way of doing it with this. Let me just quickly go back so I can show you with this mouse thing. You could either attack the inside curb like I did here, which I do think is slightly slower. I just think I brake a bit early. Or you leave a car width off this curb and try pick up the throttle a bit earlier. And since you're starting to pick up speed, you'll not brake as much. You won't lose as much traction when rejoining the racing line. Try it again, be a car width off the exit curb. if you can, but it's not in the road if you can, but it's ideal if you can, like this. You want to be a car with off this curb. Here, I said it's just a small lift. Again, you want to be a car width of the inside curb here. Maybe slightly, maybe at least half a car width, sorry. Here, get as far to the left as possible. I'm braking about a car length before this gravel here. As you can see now, I'm already braking. I will also mention I was roughly aiming for about 38 mile an hour on this curb here, on this corner, sorry. This corner, I was aiming to be, I want to say, yes, it was about 80 miles per hour on this corner. And again, you want to brake as close to it outside as possible because you'll be off the AI racing line. Don't put 100% brakes in because initially you will be on a racing line, but as soon as you start to get into the corner, you're going to want to trail brake into the corner anyway. So you don't want to be on 100% brakes at all if possible. And again, you want to be a car width off it inside curb here at least. Carry on turning far to the right. Be careful on throttle, especially as you rejoin the racing line about here. And again, I'm going to be braking and turning as soon as I get to this barrier here. Any second, maybe even slightly after in the rain. There you go. Similar to the dry, but obviously this time I'm leaving a car width off the inside curb just to stay off the racing line. This corner again, I think it was about 77 miles per hour for this corner. And be careful on this curb, especially if your right wheel goes over this part of this curb here. I did have wheel spin, but in the BL said it has decent traction. In other cars, you'll have to be very careful on the throttle. This corner here, I'm braking, oh I've already missed it, I'm braking basically the last orange sign here, the last Dragon Trail sign here. As soon as I get to the outer edge here, on bumper cam, that's where I'm braking. Again, since I'm on a racing line, I don't want to put 100% brakes in, you want to ideally put about 60 to 70% brakes from memory. And again, you want to be a car width off the inside curbs at least. In fact, I'd say 2 car widths off because the AI racing line, and I'll show you into the actual corner. So here, be a car width off, but you want to be very wide from this point onwards. You want to be basically not quite touching the right line, but very close to it, like that. And obviously, as you start to turn in for the rest of the curbs, apexes, you want to be like a car width off the outside bit, but as soon as you get to the exit of the second part, you want to be as close to the right line. Same for a third part, same for a fourth part. Just watch and pick up the throttle very gently because you'll touch the racing line at times, so you need to be extremely careful on the throttle here. Which leads to the last corner, and I'm braking. I believe it was about a car. Yeah, it was basically as soon as I get to the edge of this orange barrier here. That's when I'm braking. Again, I'm braking a straight line, and I'm gonna kind of do it in like a dry, like I would in a dry lap, because the AI racing line, it's a bit weird for this last corner in my opinion. So braking a straight line. Of course, a car width off the outside because you don't want to be on a racing line, since the car will wobble and you won't have as much braking performance, of course. Try not touch this inside curb and try go deep in. So here, the AI racing line is about here, so you want to be this wide. That's where you'll get the traction and the grip. Carry on being wide, but on the exit you want to cut back in and get at least a car width off the outside curb, because that's where you'll gain traction out of this corner. Like that. And that is how to do a wet lap on this track. Again, I don't think it's the best lap, since I didn't spend too long on it. I will be spending more time on it as the race comes upon us, but I think that's a pretty good wet lap reference for you guys to follow, hopefully. But without further ado, I'm going to finally go into a race, well not a race one, but a small stint of the race one that I did in the lobby. So I'll see you there guys, cheers. So hello again guys, so now I'm going to show you a little race one, or a little practice with Tyler, etc. So what I was thinking on the back of my mind was that obviously if you saw my fastest TT lap, you would have noticed I did 38 laps for that. And what I noticed is I believe it started stopped raining around lap 11 or lap 12. So my logic was, I was probably in the actual lobby where there's going to be cars driving the track out quicker. You'll probably want to be pitting for 6 on either lap 12 or lap 13, in my opinion. So what I wanted to test was, even though it's times 5 timer, could you do a soft stint for 8 laps, up to 8 laps, at least in the BR said, in case that the optimal strat was to pit lap 12 and go to the end of the race, of course. So my logic was, since the track will still be wet, there will be a little bit less tyre wear, since obviously one, you're going to be going slightly slower, since, well, the track's going to be wet, so you won't be putting as much tyre wear, not as much strain into your tyre wear, and you're not going to be increasing the temps too much either that way. So here I started with about 75% fuel here. The reason for that is because I think by the time I've done 12 or 13 laps in the rain, I would have probably lost about a quarter of a tank, maybe slightly less. Maybe I should have done it on 80 more realistically, but either way I think 75 is a pretty good test. So what you're going to be noticing now is I'm going to try and do 8 laps on the softs and see how much tyre wear I have left, if I do have any at all. Since it's times 5 tyre on softs, which is extremely high, but this track doesn't have a lot of high speed corners that way, so it's not the biggest high killer track out there. So what I'm going to quickly talk about is, I'm going to very quickly summarise what I think is going to happen in the actual thing. So for qualifying, I reckon that it's going to be dry, and also I will say I'm not sure what the wind and that will be, because they can very easily have different wind direction, different temperature, etc. for qualifying. So what I would recommend to do, at least to practice your qualifying pace, is to either wait in TT for half an hour until it's dry, pretty much fully dries out, or you can open up a lobby and just go around the track. Obviously you won't have a delta since you'll be in a lobby, but I would probably first of all practice without tyre just to try and do laps around the track, familiarise yourself with what you're doing around the track, and once you maybe get comfortable with what you're doing around the track and that, you can then maybe practice qualifying in the lobby with times 5 tyre wear and see how you would approach the outlap in fast laps. If you remember what I said in the intro, I reckon you'll be doing one flying lap and then you're going to be exiting back into the pits and going straight back out and doing one more lap. And I would also probably recommend to take your out lap, especially left hand corners, pretty easily. You want to still have a little bit of temps into the tyre, so you want to be, I would say you want to be going about 5 seconds slower than what you would be in qualifying, since that will be enough where you're not going to be killing your tyres, but you know you're going to at the very least maintain the heat into the tyres. So maybe 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds, anywhere along those lines should be perfect. That's what I would recommend doing if you want to practice tyre wear in qualifying, because you don't want to start the lap with quite a bit worn tyres, because then you're just not going to get the best possible lap for yourself, especially when you're going up to the last sector. You may start to understeer right, etc. I will say right now, as you can see on your screen, that I have got it quite dark on my screen. You can see my full beam lights on. The reason for that is because I saw a replay of Alexis on, I think it was like 24 or something. Yes, it's a bit after the race, since it's only 20 laps. However, it's probably the best idea of what sort of temps we're going to get in qualifying. It's an educated guess, but what I saw was 22.4 degrees Celsius from memory. So what I try to do is I try to get the right temperature, or at least as close to it as possible, and the closest I got was by putting it on night, I believe this is, and it is on 22.5 degrees Celsius, this lobby. Obviously, we don't know what qualifying is going to look like, but I would imagine it's going to be dry, because if it was to be wet, it will just give the advantage of whoever finishes for lap last, since the cars ahead will be drying the track out for them, etc. But anyway, as you can see now, we are on lap 4. I'm going to very quickly talk about where I'm tyre saving. So, as you may have noticed, the tyre that's taking the most pain is the front right. Even though there is one section of track where you're turning right for 4 consecutive corners, those are like the only right-handers where the tyres may hurt a bit. The biggest tyre wear killer on this track is by far turn 1, because it's by far the highest speed corner, and it's a very long corner at that as well. So what you want to be doing, at least the BR said, is you want to basically be doing 20% steering in turn 1, since that will still be enough to get around the corner pretty fast and preserve a lot of tyre life into that, and you'll also stop it overheating, so you'll be, if anything, quicker on the last part of the lap as well doing that. But I'm also tyre saving into turn 2 a bit. Just don't hold on to the brakes for too long, and try not put 100% steering into the left-hander. Obviously, if you start to understeer riding that, then feel free to put 100% steering in, but I just try tyre save every left-hander you can, basically. Other than the hairpin, I would say, since that's such a slow corner and you need so much steering lock just to get around that corner, in my opinion. Other than that, even though the front right is taking the most beating, I would still recommend trying to save a little bit on the quadruple right-hander, just to, you know, have good tyres at the end on your front left tyre still, to, you know, have good grip coming into any type of corner still, basically. Since if your front left is hurting and your front right is hurting at the same time, you're going to be losing brake performance, you're going to be losing performance every type of corner, whether it's left-handers or right-handers. You want to try and minimise understeering as much as possible, basically. Especially with physics, where it's already quite unsteering. You don't want to make it even more unsteering with warm tyres and overheated tyres. Other corners I'm tyre saving, I'd say, is the left-hander, the last left-hander of S2. I'm tyre saving there, since it's also quite a fast corner, and of course I'm going to be tyre saving a bit in the last corner, or the last 2 corners, I should say. I will say with the last 2 corners, I'm not really tyre saving the first part. Just try not hold on to 100% of the brakes as you turn into the first apex, and I will say you'll want to be very careful on the exit left of the last corner as well, because you want to basically, in the BR said at least, be 80% throttle, just so that you don't oversteer, but you also want to try and minimise the steering as well, with like 40% steering, etc. But without further ado, that is how I'm tyre saving on this combo. We are towards the end of lap 6, and I've got about 20% tyre life left, I would say, and we're doing about a second off my fastest lap times. I do think we could realistically be doing 130.5s if I was to do a good first flying lap, but I did mess up a bit, but it's okay. This is just a rough idea of what the tyres are going to be looking like if I was to try and use the soft tyres after pitting from the intermediates or the wet tyres, depending on what the race is like. I do think it'll be into start though, personally, but I'm going to keep an eye out on the Asia slots, and from there I'll be able to work out whether into or wet start as well. But I would imagine it'll be an into start. But anyway, I will say right now, with just under 3 minutes left of this video, I want to first of all say thanks for the huge support recently, guys. I greatly appreciate it. Unfortunately, I disconnected the first 2 slots in my first round. However, I did do that slot without streaming, and I did get a P3. It wasn't the best split 2 in the world. Like, there was, it wasn't a high DR lobby, so it wasn't even 400 points. I think it was 395 points which I got, which I would have taken at the start of the day. And I did use the WRX in that race, because I just felt that even with a bad lapping quality in the WRX, it would still put me at least mid-pack. In fact, I qualified P5, I think, and I still overtook 2 cars, even with a bad tyre on the WRX. So I think I did a very good job, and I was only, I think, about a second half of the leader at the end of the race. So I was extremely happy with how I drove, considering I didn't touch the medium tyre before starting the race. I'm going to very quickly summarise this video basically. So the first 4 minutes or so is the intro and the race settings, and then I show my fastest qualifying lap in the dry. Basically that's where you'll see the rough braking references. I'm doing it in the qualifying lap, then I show my fastest wet lap, and then I do a detailed lap on the rough wet lines I'm using, the rough braking references I'm using, and the rough apex speeds I'm taking, etc. And now I'm showing you a race where I'm using soft, just to see if I think I can do 8 laps with soft to finish the race once it starts to dry out. Got to remember as well, since the track is drying out, like I said at the beginning of this part of this video, or this section of this video, but the track will still be slightly wet, so you can use the wetter parts of the track on the straights to try cool your tyres down a bit. And since you won't be going as quick at the start of the stint, it'll take longer for your tyres to start to overheat. So I do think, in the BR said at least, but you can do the 8 laps for softs, which is what I'm thinking of doing, but obviously I'm going to see how the Asia races are first. Without further ado guys, I'm going to end the video here now. I would appreciate a like and a sub as always. I greatly appreciate what I'm doing. I really enjoy making these videos to help you guys. But without further ado guys, I'm going to end it here. Good luck in the race if you're going to do this round, and I'll see you later guys. Cheers.